Hello learners, welcome back to Constant Learners and welcome to our SQL from Scratch series. Today we are discussing the types of SQL commands. This is the second video in the SQL series. Let's get started. As discussed in the previous video, SQL is used to communicate with the database since the database cannot understand human language. So today we will learn some simple SQL commands that can help us to perform very basic operations on the database. These SQL commands are like the grammar of SQL that helps us to perform different operations on the database. Just like in English language, we have nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs that are used to explain the sentences in different ways, right? Similarly, whenever we work with a database, we don't perform just one type of operation. We create tables, we insert data, update data, we change the data, entirely delete some portion of data, control user access, save or undo changes, and so on. And to handle all of these tasks, SQL provides different categories of commands. These categories are called types of SQL commands. Now, there are 5 major categories or types of SQL commands, such as first, DDL, data definition language, which is used to define the database structure. Second is DML, data manipulation language, which is used to modify the table data. Third is DQL, which is data query language, which is used to retrieve the data from the database. Fourth is DCL, data control language, which is used to control the user access to the database. And fifth is TCL, transaction control language, which is used to manage the transactions. All right, let's discuss each of these in detail. First is DDL, that is data definition language. DDL commands are used to define and modify the database structure. It is like building the room, right? We are deciding the shape, size, or dimensions of the room. Similarly, we have the data definition language used to define the database or modify the database structure. In simple words, DDL works on the schema, not the actual data, right? That is the database layout. We are building the database layout where the data will be stored later using other types of commands. Now, what exactly does working on the database schema or layout include? It includes creating tables, changing table structure, and deleting the tables. Now, the important DDL commands are first, create. It is used to create the database objects, right? For example, create table student, and then we define what we need inside the student table. Then the second is alter. It is used to modify the table structure. For example, alter table student. So here we are modifying the already existing table. Third is drop. It deletes entire table permanently. Drop table students. That means it's going to delete the entire table permanently. Next is truncate. Truncate removes all records from a table, but it keeps the structure. For example, truncate table student, it deletes all the data inside the table, but it keeps the table structure. Alright, the most important point to note here is DDL commands usually auto-commit changes. That means the changes cannot be rolled back. That means there's no undo option over here. Alright. Next, the second one is DML, that is data manipulation language. DML commands are used to work with actual data inside the tables. So we were using DDL, that is data definition language, to define the database structure or the layout. But DML is used to work with actual data inside the tables. If DDL creates the structure, DML fills and modifies the data. Now, important DML commands are, first is insert. It adds new records. Insert into student. That means insert this data inside the student's table. Update. It modifies existing records. Update student. Set marks is equal to 90, where ID is equal to 1. That means for whoever student the ID is 1, set it marks to be equal to 90. So we are updating the existing records. Third is delete. It removes records from the table. So it is not deleting the entire table. It is just deleting some portion of data from the table. Right? Important point to note here is DML commands can be rolled back. That means the changes can be undone. Alright. Third is DQL, that is data query language. DQL commands are used to retrieve or fetch data from the database. That means to read the data from the database, right? Main DQL commands are select. It is used to display data from the tables. Example, select star from student. Star means all. That means it gives the entire data that is present in the student's table. Next example, select name from student. So it only gives the name column from the student's table. Select all from students where marks are greater than 80. So it gives the entire row for all the students whose marks are greater than 80. Alright. Next, the key point, the important point to note here is that DQL only reads data. It does not change the data inside the database. Next, fourth is DCL, that is data control language. DCL commands control access and permissions in database. It is used for database security. Very important. Now, important DCL commands are, first one is grant. It gives permission to user. Grant select on student to user 1. Right? So it gives permission to select to user 1. That means he can only read the data. Revoke removes permission from user. Revoke select on student from user 1. That means you are removing the user 1 the access to read the data from the student table. Alright. DCL commands are very, very important in real life scenarios like bank database, like hospital database, like so many companies, right? The applications that we use, for example, Amazon, we can only read the data on Amazon. We can view the products, we can see the description, we can see the reviews, etc. But we cannot change anything unless we have an access, unless we have a business account, right? Only then we'll be able to make some changes. There also we have only limited access. We can only add our products or make changes to our products. We cannot change anyone else's data inside their database. Alright. So DCL commands are used to control the access to different users. Right. So if we consider a bank database, there a clerk can view the data. A manager can modify the data. And the admin has full control over the data. Alright. Next, the fifth one is TCL, that is transaction control language. TCL commands manage transactions. A transaction means what? A group of SQL operations treated as one unit. Now, important TCL commands are, first, commit. Commit saves the changes permanently. That means, let's say I've made some changes to the database. Now, if I send a commit command, those changes will be permanent. Nobody will be able to revoke it back or undo the changes. Alright. Next is rollback. Rollback is used to undo the changes. All right. Save point. Save point creates a checkpoint in transaction. For example, save point A. So it is a checkpoint. It's like a toll gate. All right. So before that, there'll be one group of operations. After that, there'll be another group of operations. All right. So that was TCL. All of these commands are very important and we'll discuss each of them in detail in the future videos. A quick comparison between all of these is DDL is data definition language. It is used to define the database structure, that is the schema, the layout of the database. DML is data manipulation language. It modifies the data inside the database, right? So first, DDL builds the structure. Then DML is used to store or modify the data inside that structure. Next is DQL. DQL is data query language. It is used to retrieve data from the database. That means we can only read the data using the DQL commands. Next is DCL, data control language. It is used to give permissions to different users. All right, like what access do a particular user have on the database. And finally, fifth is TCL, which is transaction control language. It controls the transactions. All right. Now I want you to answer these three questions. First one is, what is the difference between delete and truncate? Think about it, pause the video and write your answer in the comment section. The second question is, which SQL command retrieves the data? Again, I want you to pause the video, think about the answer and write your answer in the comments below. And third one is, which SQL commands maintain security? Again, pause the video, think of the answer and write the answer in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share the answers in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching.